Welcome, and thank you for joining me today as we take a closer look at a small but powerful piece of American history, the 2016 P Theodore Roosevelt Quarter. At first glance, it may seem like just another coin in your pocket, but there's much more to it. This quarter is not only a tribute to one of America's most iconic presidents, but also to the land he loved, preserved, and helped protect for generations to come. The 2016 Theodore Roosevelt Quarter was part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, an ambitious initiative by the United States Mint that ran from 2010 through 2021. Over those years, 56 different designs were released, each one representing a national park or site from each U.S. state and territory, as well as the District of Columbia. The goal of the program was to celebrate the diverse landscapes and historic locations that define America. In 2016, 5 quarters were issued under this program, and one of them featured Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. That's the coin we're exploring today. This particular version of the coin, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, bears a small P mint mark. It might be easy to overlook, but collectors and enthusiasts know that every mark tells a story. So why Theodore Roosevelt? What makes this coin and the park it honors so significant? To answer that, we have to go back to the 1880s. Theodore Roosevelt, before he became president, suffered an unimaginable personal loss. On Valentine's Day in 1884, both his wife and his mother died, his wife from kidney failure and his mother from typhoid fever, in the same house on the same day. Heartbroken, he left behind his life in New York and headed west to the Badlands of the Dakota Territory, seeking solitude and healing in the vast wilderness. There, he purchased land and started a cattle ranch. He lived a rugged, demanding life among cowboys, ranchers, and wide-open plains. It was in that raw, wild environment that Roosevelt rebuilt himself. He said later that if it hadn't been for his time in North Dakota, he never would have become president of the United States. That experience shaped not only the man, but also his political legacy. Roosevelt became one of the earliest and strongest advocates for conservation in American history. As president, he protected approximately 230 million acres of public land. He established 5 national parks, 18 national monuments, and 150 national forests. Today, he's often referred to as the conservation president. The coin itself captures this legacy in a single, elegant design. On the reverse, it shows Theodore Roosevelt on horseback, surveying the rugged landscape of the park that now bears his name. He's dressed in his iconic Rough Rider attire, symbolizing both his military service and frontier spirit. The background features the rolling Badlands, which remain just as untamed as when Roosevelt first encountered them more than a century ago. This design isn't just artistic, it's deeply symbolic. It connects the man, the land, and the movement he helped inspire. Roosevelt isn't shown in Washington, D.C., making speeches or writing policies. He's in nature, where his heart truly was. The imagery reminds us that leadership isn't always found behind a desk. Sometimes it's found on horseback, among hills and rivers. The obverse of the coin, like all quarters in the America the Beautiful series, features the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. This side remains largely unchanged, grounding each new design in the broader tradition of American coinage. Now let's talk about the P mint mark. That letter indicates the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest mint in the United States, established in 1792. The 2016 P Theodore Roosevelt Quarter was minted in large numbers for general circulation, but uncirculated and proof versions were also produced for collectors. For coin collectors, this quarter has both aesthetic and historical appeal. While it's not considered rare, millions were minted. It holds value for those who appreciate presidential history, national parks, and the artistry of coin design. In brilliant uncirculated condition, or as part of a complete set of 2016 quarters, it can be a meaningful addition to any collection. What's also special about this quarter is how it continues the story of America's landscape preservation movement. The park itself, Theodore Roosevelt National Park, is a living memorial. It spans more than 70,000 acres of scenic beauty, badlands, rivers, prairies, and roaming bison. Visitors today can walk the same trails Roosevelt once rode on horseback, gaze across the same sweeping vistas, and understand the sense of awe that stirred him to protect the American wilderness. When we hold this coin in our hands, we're not just holding metal, we're holding a symbol. a tribute to a man whose grief led him into the wild, and whose time there inspired one of the greatest conservation legacies in world history. We're reminded that the land matters, that it shapes us, and that sometimes honoring a person means honoring the places they loved. So next time you come across a 2016 Theodore Roosevelt Quarter, especially one with a little P mark, take a moment to think about where it's been. Think about the man on horseback, riding across the Dakota plains. Think about how a coin barely an inch wide can carry the weight of a president's vision and a nation's landscape. Thank you for spending this time with me, exploring the story behind one small but mighty piece of American coinage. Keep looking closely. You never know what stories your spare change might tell.